word system just because everything is a system now, so I'm just deciding to not use that word out of principle. So instead we're going to go through what I call progressions. But the idea is it's still going to be submission oriented. It's still going to be the idea that you're always trying to get dominant position and trying to move towards control and position. But we're going to be switching our focus from submission, escape, how to get there, and going to be going more in bad position. How do I get out of bad position to submission or escape? So same idea, but just with a different structure so that we're focusing more on the path instead of the end. The first progression I want to go through is what I call the Kosoto progression. The idea is that, you've done some of this with me before, so yeah, it's on your knees. So the idea is that just up on your knees. So the idea is that I tried to single leg him, and he was able to sprawl me or get me down on the ground or whatever, and we're in this position, okay? This is always going to be our starting position for a while now, okay? And the idea is that you tried a single leg, it failed, now you're trying to save your single leg or save your situation so that you can still get that position and continue to fight effectively. So right now we're going out of the idea of basically giving you the worst case scenario for a single leg so that you know what to do when your single leg fails, so you can do a single leg more often because you don't have to worry about what happens when you screw up the single leg. Okay, so that's what we're working on right now. We're going to be basically going from the idea that our opponent is a complete idiot to the idea that our opponent is really, really good. Some of this is not going to be high percentage, but I like to show it for context as to why is your opponent not doing X, Y, Z. Because I notice every time I don't do that, everyone's like, well, why wouldn't he just do this? And I was like, well, because that's a bad idea. So I'm showing the bad ideas with it just so that you have the context. So the first one, right now, we're going to go from the idea that our opponent is very dumb and he is sitting with both knees on the ground. Okay, so just the absolute idiot opponent right now. This is the first move in the progression. So when I have this, the first thing I do is with the hand on the inside, I grab the back ankle. Then I grab the knee and I cut the corner so that I'm standing to his side. And from here, all I do is pull the leg in. And I basically get a sideways double leg, okay? Important, I'm not rushing into him, okay? Because that will give him momentum he might be able to use to reverse the position and get me on the ground, okay? So I'm not doing this. So I'm not here, coming here, and then doing this. Because if he's really good, if he gets a hook in here, this leg. Yeah, just like a swimming hook. Yeah. If he gets a hook in here, maybe now he can start elevating me, and now he can reverse the position. And he needs forward momentum to do that. So I'm trying to avoid giving that to him. So instead, what I'm doing, I'm here, okay, grab the legs, and I'm pulling the legs into me so that his legs are stuffed. Try to elevate me now. Yeah, no momentum. Yeah, well, not only no momentum, your legs are stuffed. Your knees are together, you have no power. Just try to move your legs apart. Oh, okay, don't try to move your legs apart because I'm injured. Okay. Normally I can just put weight on it and like, oh, okay, no, don't do that. Okay, so that's the first movement. It's not very hard, but I think it's kind of effective. Okay, I don't want to say effective. It's good for context. You will sometimes land this, but not as the initial movement. More you did something, he countered, and then you were in a scramble, and maybe he'll land like this in the scramble, and then you can pull this one out normally. But again, just as context for why he's not doing particular things later, we're going the idea our opponent is dumb. He's just sitting here like this, and you just pull the legs together and push him over. Okay? So that's the first step. We're going to go through a couple today. So next steps. That one's looking pretty good. So we're now going to assume our opponent is still dumb, but a little bit smarter than the last opponent. Okay? So now we've got the opponent here. He knows that if I get a grip on like this, he's going to be falling. So now he tries standing up. So yeah, just stand.
Okay, so from this one we come with it, and here's where the name of the Kosoto position comes. I come over and hook this leg. I basically have a Kosoto gari here. From here, with my other arms, I grab the other leg and go to a double leg.
Okay, again, a pretty simple action. I've actually been able to use this one in tournaments. It actually has come across, again, not as I grab the leg and go directly into it, but he's defending something. When he was defending A, you can go to B. I did this one actually in the Europeans. Last fight I had, it was like, if you're watching my first fight in Europeans, the very last movement I have, I'm in this Kosoto position, he tries standing up, and I just kind of, boom, boom, and right then the timer went out, so.
The Kosoto position is just hooking the leg.
Yeah. That's from judo. That's what this. There's a throw in judo where I come in like this, and that's called Kosoto gari. It just means low outside. So, just for people who are really big on judo names, this one is Kosoto. This one is Kosoto. It just means I'm coming on the outside of his body, and Ko and O just mean big and little. So Kosoto just means I'm coming with a little motion on the outside. Kosoto means I'm coming with a big motion on the outside. That's all that means. It sounds all nice and mystical. It is just, really, if you speak Japanese, the judo throw names, they're very bland. It's just low inside reap, big inside reap, big outside reap, little outside reap. They're very, very bland. So everyone thinks it sounds all mystical and everything because it's judo, and it really just, there's like a Japanese monument somewhere. I don't remember exactly what the name is, but if you translate the name, it literally means Chinese rock over there. That's literally what it means. It sounds all nice and mystical. It has this long name in Japanese, and it just means Chinese rock over there. So, just a little bit of Japanese. So, okay, so like I said,
Where here, my opponent's a little bit smarter. He tries standing up. He didn't really stand up. Yeah, he tries standing up. So we get a Kosoto hook, grab the far leg, one arm, two arm, doesn't matter. We just want to block that leg, and we push it.
okay, I don't think this one's very complicated either. Again, this is kind of a very easy thing. Again, this one you'll catch people with, but again, not as your first reaction, unless your opponent is very dumb. So unless you've got a person who doesn't really know how to defend this kind of a position, you're not going to get this one because he knows if he stands up, he's giving you a double leg, basically. Or a double leg Kosoto in this case. The Kosoto, just to explain, is to keep the leg there. It's not actually what you're using to throw. Because theoretically, if I'm here, I could try to just double leg him. But the problem is here I have both of his legs against my arm, and his hands are free to start trying to sprawl me out.
Yeah, and that's where things like that happen.
So that's why when doing this,
I prefer to get the Kosoto hook. So now if he tries to sprawl out on me, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm not actually tripping him with it. I'm actually tripping him with this grip and with my head pressure.
the Kosoto is more just to keep him there so that he doesn't run away or he doesn't try to sprawl out on you again. Okay? It looks more complicated than it really is. It's really just that. Yeah. You don't have to do anything weird like this. It's not that kind of movement. It's really just nice. Especially because you've got to remember you're standing at an angle to him. So if I'm here, this is actually kind of difficult, but you gotta remember I'm standing sideways. So actually all I have to do is just put my foot up. If he goes away from me, I'm just go. I'm just kneeling. I'm just in a kneeling position. So that's all it is. It's not a big movement. You do not have to wrap your arm up, your leg around his leg like a tentacle. You just have to block it. It's just to keep him from sprawling out. Okay? So let's give this one a try. So we're going to go to some sparring exercises now. I'm not going to spar with anyone right but we're going to be doing some very specific positional sparring when we practice this progression for a while, okay? Just like we do the submission escapes, we're going to be doing basically positional sparring. It's similar to the sessions. The important thing is a couple of rules that everyone has to follow. Rule number 1, this is our starting position, okay? We get to start from here. We give our opponent this particular position. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, if you lay on your stomach for more than 2 seconds, you lose. Okay? So if, for example, something happens, I'm here and I get here, if I do not get back to a turtle position in 5 seconds, or in 2 seconds, I lose. Okay? So if I lay on my stomach for more than 2 seconds, I've lost. Okay? If I lay on my back for more than 2 seconds, I've lost. I'm allowed to do a sacrifice throw or something like that, that's okay. But if he gets me to where I'm like this, and we're fighting here for more than 2 seconds, I lose. Okay? I am also not allowed to fight from the guard. Okay? So if he gets me in here, and no, just take my leg. Okay, if he gets me here, I'm not allowed to turn into the guard and play butterfly guard. Okay? This is also I lose. The reason for this is that in this kind of a position in tournament, any one of those actions could technically count as sweep points for my opponent. So, because I'm essentially accepting the takedown, because again, the idea is it's a failed single leg. So, let's say if I just don't go along with it, let's say I snatch a single leg, he falls down, we get to this Kosoto position, and he turns into guard from here. This would count as a sweep for me.
You get the
Yeah, I would get sweep points for that because he accepts the takedown.
Oh.
He accepts that he cannot beat the takedown attempt and says, okay, I'm just gonna fight from the guard now. That counts as a sweep for him, or for me. Okay, that's why you're not allowed to turn into guard when you do this. You are not willing to give your opponent any points. Okay?
But the rules is for the...
It's 2. It's sweep, takedown, 2 points.
Yeah,
Same.
but the rules apply to you and to him.
To me, no, only to me.
Just
He gets nothing.
So he can do whatever he wants? No.
No,
No,
he can't.
if he goes in guard,
I get points for this. I am now ahead. If he goes into guard, I have 2 points and I am winning.
and when he goes into guard, he gets the points because his single leg failed.
Yeah, well, again, that would count as a counter for him and as a sweep.
Yeah, okay.
So it's like it's basically if I'm here and he turns into guard, that would be 2 points for me. Okay, if we are like this and he starts to counter, just whatever, yeah, and I go into guard, that counts as a sweep for him.
Okay. So none of you can play guards right now?
Nobody can play guard. No guard play whatsoever.
Okay.
Everyone has to avoid guard play at all costs.
Alright.
Submissions are allowed. You are allowed to try and submit. Again, as we always do, any lock, 5 second, we're the 10-second rule. So you're not allowed to finish a lock, you're allowed to hold. Let's say I grab an armbar, or let's say I grab an armbar. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then, after 10 seconds, I say stop, break check. And I see if I can, and if I can get the break with minimal effort, then I win. But let's say, for example, I always like this example. Okay, on your feet, I want to go for a lot. Okay, better example for the 10-second rule, okay? So, let's say I get a foot lock. Okay, I got in my foot lock, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Break check. Okay, that counts as a win. Okay, now, same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Break check. This does not count as a win, because I don't have a foot lock. Okay? So you hold 10 seconds, if you can keep the control 10 seconds, then you say break check. If the break check works with little problem, you win. If you if you have to get everything you can and he's still not tapping, or you're 90% of the way and only then he's tapping, that is not a break. Okay? So it's clear what I want?